Hello, everybody. What is going on? My name is Jake, and today I present to you the nut tier list. Now, this is just exactly what it sounds like. It's a tier list of a bunch of types of nuts. I talked to a lot of people about this. I've done a bunch of research. So, what you're getting isn't just some guy's opinion, it is the most objective nut tier list you will ever see in your life. And if you disagree with the ordering of these nuts in these tiers, then that's a personal problem that I can't help you with. But this is as close to fact as you're ever going to get. Now, let me just go over the types of nuts that we have, just so we're all clear about what we're working with. On the left here, we have hazelnuts, walnuts, macadamia nuts, almonds, pecans, peanuts, chestnuts, pistachios, and cashews. I was considering putting on pine nuts and Brazil nuts as well, but to be honest, I'm not super familiar with those, so I didn't want to make an uninformed decision about where they rank in comparison to other nuts. I take this very seriously, as you can tell. So let's just jump right into it. We're going to go starting from the lower tiers and then work our way up. And in F tier, we have pistachios. Look, guys, if you like pistachios, there's something wrong with you. I don't know if maybe you're lacking some IQ points or maybe your parents weren't in the picture a lot, but if you like pistachios, the best advice I can give you is seek help. There are a lot of reasons to hate pistachios. First of all, they're green, and that's kind of weird. Second of all, they don't even taste great. The only reason people eat them is because they're salted to hell and back. If they weren't, and the nut just had to stand on its own, it wouldn't stand a chance in the highly competitive nut industry. And the company that puts these out, the only one that I know of anyway, is just called Wonderful Pistachios. Like, dang, I hope these guys don't break their own necks filleting themselves with that name. Just all around, the most hateable nut that there is. If you like pistachios, check yourself into a psych ward because you're not fit for human society. I'm sorry, this nut is just the worst thing ever. Pistachios are the only F tier nut. Every other nut has at least some redeeming qualities, so we're gonna go up to C tier. And in C tier, I am going to start with macadamia nuts. A lot of people like macadamia nuts, but that's because of what they associate macadamia nuts with. You'll often see them in those white chocolate chip and macadamia nut cookies, which are great cookies. But the thing is, if it were just white chocolate chip cookies, they would honestly be better. The macadamia nut is inconsequential to how good that cookie is. And the flavor of macadamia honestly adds nothing to the end product. I haven't seen much of macadamia nuts other than with other dessert foods, and I can't help but feel that they're largely inconsequential in those foods. So, sorry, macadamia nuts, but you're just not putting in the work. You know, I've tried to isolate macadamia nuts when I'm eating these foods, and they're underwhelming. There's nothing special about macadamia nuts. They're just kind of there, and that's why they're at the bottom of C tier. Moving right along, we have hazelnuts. Now, this one's gonna offend a lot of people because you'll get the hazelnut coffee at Starbucks or whatever, and that's kind of the only type of context you really see hazelnuts in. You see hazelnut seasoning, and that's it. You never eat just plain hazelnuts. You'll have coffee creamer and maybe, Aunt Meemaw's Thanksgiving hazelnut cheesecake. But other than that, that's it for hazelnuts. And to be honest, when hazelnuts are in those foods, it's not even that good. Like, I don't like the flavor that the hazelnuts are putting out, and it's just a nut that I could definitely live without. So hazelnuts, while I'm not saying they're super offensively bad like pistachios, they're definitely not great. Rounding off C tier, and this is gonna anger a lot of people, we have peanuts. Now, a lot of you guys are probably freaking out. Like, what? You can not like peanuts, but what about peanut butter? And what about peanut oil that's used to make like a bunch of different stuff? Listen, I understand and respect the utility of peanuts in, the food industry, but realistically, do you guys really enjoy peanuts that much? Like, you crack them open, you eat some. If they're salted, they're way too salty every single time. And if they're not salted, they're okay, but they're not great either. They're also very, very bad for your health. Probably the worst nut for you out of all these. They cause inflammation, and they contain lectin, which is not good. Now, peanut butter and peanut oil, I'll agree, those are both pretty good products, but they themselves come with a caveat. Peanut allergies are so unbelievably common and also strong. So if you whip out a Hershey's chocolate bar, even, it doesn't actually contain peanuts, but it's made with peanuts. And if you eat that chocolate bar near someone with a peanut allergy, it's like you're about to kill them. They're about to go into anaphylactic shock, and 911 will need to be called. Like, people are that allergic to peanuts. Sometimes, it's like you open up a fudgesicle, it's not really made with any peanuts, but it was made in a factory near peanuts, and that's enough to be unacceptable to eat to a peanut allergy person. Like, goddamn, screw you guys for being allergic to peanuts, but also screw the food industry for relying on peanuts for so many different things when people are this allergic to them, So peanuts killing kids, not very good. And as a nut, it's not even that great. That's why it's at the bottom of C tier. I said macadamia nuts were at the bottom of C tier, didn't I? I guess we're going from left is the highest to right is the lowest. So in B tier, we're finally getting to some good nuts. We got chestnuts. What's there to really say about chestnuts? They're kind of interesting looking, and you roast them on an open fire. That's pretty popular during the holidays. Not really much to say about chestnuts. Overall, just a solid nut. Can't go wrong, but you also can't go too right. I've never had a chestnut experience where it's just like, wow, I can't believe they added chestnuts to this food dish and it really made the whole dish worth eating. I've never had that. So they're all right. They're nothing worth gushing over, but again, they're pretty good. Also in B tier, we have pecans. Pecans are pretty good. I like their texture. Pecan pie is a pretty good type of pie. And pecans are kind of all right for you health-wise. So pecans, solid nut. Again, just like chestnuts, there's not much to remark on, but they're also not bad in any way. I can't think of like some reason why pecans are bad versus all these other nuts, which I can, So that's why they're in B tier. They haven't quite made it to A, and I'm gonna go over A tier now. We have almonds. Almonds, pretty good nut. Almond Joy, definitely better than Mounds, or excuse me, they're better than Spoonow, and they're actually incredibly good for your health. Like the best nut for your health out of these, I believe, except for one, which I'll get into in a bit. They taste great, and their texture is pretty good. You can put them in a lot of different things. They're a very versatile nut. You can make almond butter, which is just way better than peanut butter, trust me. Almonds are just representative of what every nut should strive to be, and that's why they're in A tier. Also in A tier, we have cashews. Cashews are only all right from a health perspective, but from a taste perspective, they are an excellent nut. You'll see them in Thai food and in various different types of cuisines, actually. Chinese food. You'll see them in some, Spanish dishes. They're a versatile nut. And that they're included with these foods that aren't like dessert foods it speaks to the power of the taste of a cashew. It's a very distinct and also very good taste. I have no complaints about cashews. They're an excellent nut, and that's why I'm putting them at number 2. But number 1 nut, and here's the crowning jewel of the entire nut family, is walnuts. Walnuts, wow, what a nut. You bite into a walnut, it's like you're biting into pure unadulterated joy. The texture, the flavor, even the process of cracking open a walnut is just a satisfying experience. They're also very good for your health. They compete with almonds for healthiest nut. Wet walnuts are also a fun treat, but I don't go gaga over wet walnuts. Just walnuts in general, fantastic nut. If you don't love walnuts, then there's something wrong with you. It's just like liking pistachios. If you don't like walnuts, like, you need help. Walnuts are just an amazing nut. You can't go wrong eating walnuts. It's just impossible. Well, that's my walnut tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you disagree with me, scream at me on Twitter at Jake_Siri, and I'll disregard your complaints because I know my opinion is the correct one. This is the definitive tier list. I don't understand how you people are gonna contest this, but if you want to attempt, you can feel free. Before I sign off, I want you guys to know that yes, I'm aware that peanuts are in fact a legume. So I know a lot of people in the comments are going to be like, oh, peanuts shouldn't even be on the list. They should be in the peas and beans list. But like, come on. They kind of taste like other nuts. They have a similar make to other nuts, I guess you would call it. The hardness, texture, they're a nut through and through, I think. They definitely pass at the very least for a nut. And they're called peanuts, which means in the context of English vernacular, I would say it's fair to call this a nut. Even if it's technically not a nut, I'm no taxonomist. I don't care that much. It's worth putting on the list anyway. Now, there's one last nut that I need to mention. I'm just going to insert this in here at the end. Even though this is a tier list, I feel this is worth putting down as well. This is actually, tied for walnuts with the best nut. You can see the picture here looks like a lot of the letter D, and that is because the best nut out there is actually D's nuts.